Joe Fortenbaugh here for OddsShark, Week 3 in the NFL, Week 4 in college football. Time to go to work. Let's start with the big story out of the National Football League from a betting perspective, which is unders, cashing at an alarming rate through the first 2 weeks of the season. Entering Thursday night showdown between Pittsburgh and Cleveland, unders had gone 22-10, or 68% through the first 2 weeks of the season. Now, this is not a sustainable number. The overrun is coming. We just need to wait for the market adjustment and pick our spot. Here's what I mean by that. In week 1, the average closing total was 46.1 points. Here in week 3, the average closing total, as of now, right around 45 points. Now, a 1 point drop might not seem like a whole lot, but when it's league-wide, it's relatively significant. All right, so the market is adjusting, the overrun is coming. I want you to take note of something. Over the last 5 years, nothing, overs, unders, neither has done better than 54% over the course of a season. Again, we're hitting at 68% right now. If you go all the way back to 1986, you can find one of the greatest outliers in totals history. 58% for unders. 58. Again, we're hitting at 68% right now. So the regression will come. The overs will have their day. Keep that in mind. Speaking of totals, let's come out firing. Tampa Bay versus Green Bay. This total was 42. It moved down to 41.5. That's a move off a key number. I am going to make a play here, relatively small wager, on the under in that matchup. Green Bay showed us against Chicago exactly who they want to be. They want to run the football this year. Okay, they got that two-headed beast in the backfield, and that's what they want to take advantage of. Through 2 weeks, they're averaging 28 rushing attempts per game. Last year, they were averaging about 26 rushing attempts per game. They're also moving very slow, right? In terms of pace of play, they're 31st in the NFL. Those two things translate very nicely to an under, especially when you're playing a team like Tampa Bay who has an elite defense. Speaking of the Buccaneers, Tom Brady, that offense has looked a little shaky through the first 2 weeks. Mike Evans is suspended. The wide receivers and O-line are banged up. Green Bay does bring a formidable defense to the table. We will be playing under 41.5 for a smaller wager in the Tampa Bay-Green Bay matchup. Now, that's an under we like. Trap games. Plural. There's 2 to keep an eye on this weekend. Number 1, Kansas City at Indianapolis. Everybody's written off the Colts. Everybody loves Mahomes and the Chiefs. I know, I've been there before, so have you. Keep something in mind. Chiefs opened -7 at Indianapolis. That number got as low as 5.5. Sharp money did come in on the Colts. They're expected to be a little healthier this weekend. Probably a sense of desperation, playing at home for the first time this year. Not telling you to rush out and bet it because the pros played it up at 7 and 6.5. You would be coming in at 5.5. But be careful if you really love Kansas City. There is some sharp money on the Colts. Trap game number 2. Everyone assumes the Baltimore Ravens are going to bounce back against the New England Patriots. They're laying 3, or they were laying 3, all week for the game in New England. And then all of a sudden, some money came in on the Patriots and it's down to 2.5. That is a key move off a key number. Something worth noting, okay? That New England defense, no joke. Last week they played Pittsburgh, so you can write it off against Mitchell Trubisky. But remember, Baltimore just got gashed by the Miami Dolphins. Gashed, 8.8 yards per play. New England held those guys in Miami to just 14 points. Remember, one of the touchdowns was a defensive touchdown for the Dolphins. This New England defense can play. So I'm just throwing it out there to be very careful this week, laying points on the road with the Kansas City Chiefs and the Baltimore Ravens. Now that's the trap games that you got to keep an eye on. Chase mode. One of my favorite segments that we're going to be doing here all season long. The Sunday night football game. If you find yourself down and you have to make it up late, who do you play? If you're up and you want to try to press a little bit, who do you back? Remember, responsible bankroll management. Have to be very smart about that. You're never going to get ahead in this game if you're chasing money. We call it chase mode. It's a, what would be the word? It is a creative way of telling you how we're going to play the Sunday night game. And how we're going to play it is we're going to lay the 1.5 with the 49ers over the Denver Broncos. It would be easy to say, yeah, Garoppolo's a step up from Trey Lance. He is. But the bet here is against Nathaniel Hackett, the head coach of the Denver Broncos. This is a sloppy organization he's running right now. It's only 2 games into his tenure. He could get better. But what we know right now is that the Broncos are sloppy. Number 1 in the NFL in false start penalties. Number 1 in the NFL in delay of game penalties. They're really struggling to get the play calls in to Russell Wilson. They're sloppy from the sideline into Wilson's helmet when he's getting the plays. The timeout management has been really poor. That's the type of thing that can work against a team like Houston, who they barely beat at home last week. It's not going to work against a well-balanced team like the San Francisco 49ers. Chase mode play of the week, Sunday night. We are going to lay the 1.5 with the San Francisco 49ers. DFS players. Let's stay out west for a second, shall we? If you're looking for an undervalued option this week, Cordero Patterson, running back, Atlanta Falcons. They're in Seattle taking on the Seahawks. $5,800 on DraftKings. That ranks him 17th amongst running backs in terms of cost. This is important to note because look at the matchup. Seattle last year gave up the most targets, the most receptions, and the most receiving yards to opposing running backs of any team in the NFL. And that's happening again this season. Top 3 in all 3 of those categories. That's a great sign for a guy like Patterson. You're on the road if you're Mariota, check it down. Patterson's great with his hands out of the backfield. He started his career as a wide receiver. So at $5,800, 17th ranked player in terms of the running back position on DraftKings, something worth considering as a value play. Let's flip the page, shall we? Both literally and figuratively, to the college football world. Play of the week, TCU, laying 2 points against SMU. This is supposed to be the big Sonny Dykes revenge game. Dykes was at SMU last year. They started hot. They wanted to give him an extension. He balked. Rumors swirled. Team fell apart. He jumped to TCU, and now they want to take him down. This was already a big rivalry to begin with. Here's the problem for SMU, and there's actually a few problems. Number 1, Dykes has had 2 weeks to get ready for this game. They were on the bye last week, and you know he wants to stick it to his old team. Number 2, Sonny Dykes' offense is scoring a lot of points like usual, 38 points per game. That's going to be a problem for SMU because they don't generate a lot of pressure up front, and if you can't pressure TCU, they're going to throw the ball all over you all day. Joe Gillespie, TCU defensive coordinator, was at Tulsa last year. He did a great job there. He's doing a great job already at TCU in terms of run defense, which would limit SMU as well. So the college football play of the week, TCU -2 over SMU. College football rapid fire. 3 more picks in rapid fire succession. Pick number 1, Florida-Tennessee over 62 points. Tennessee's averaging over 50 points per game this season. They're one of the fastest teams in college football in terms of pace, and their defense stinks against the run. That's all Florida can do. Anthony Richardson is a great athlete who can run. He can't throw. They should be able to run enough and score enough to handle their share of the workload to getting this over 62 points. Game number 2 in the rapid fire. Duke +7.5 at Kansas. Can you believe these 2 teams are undefeated? Duke, 3-0 this season with a win at Northwestern, top 25 in both scoring defense and opponent yards per play. Kansas has been fantastic this year. I think this is too many points for them to be laying, given the situation. And number 3, we talked about it in the recap video earlier in the week. Oregon State. They were catching 7, it's down to 5.5, but you can find some 6s out there, so that's where we'll play the Beavers. At home, under the lights, in Corvallis, Oregon State can run the ball. USC's defense still leaves a lot to be desired. Remember something about the Trojans. Perfect season so far. +10 in turnover differential. They haven't committed a single turnover. They're perfect on 4th down. That's not sustainable for a whole season. It's going to come down at some point, and some of the sharp action says it is going to happen this weekend against Oregon State. Throwing that out there, keep it in mind. Something we want to alert you to for the coming week. Next week, we're going to start something called the People's Parlay. Okay? People's Parlay, that means you, the people. Go to Twitter, follow us at OddsShark. We're gonna send out a tweet asking you for your favorite parlay leg of the week. The 3 tweets that get the most likes are the 3 we're going to use, all right? And those 3 that we use, we're gonna shout you out in these videos, but if you win, we're gonna send you some cool swag as well. So make sure you follow OddsShark. Best of luck to all of you this weekend. Thanks for watching.